Hey everyone, Greta here, and welcome to today's episode. And today we are going to talk about Om, this very, very important syllable, mantra, sound, whatever you like to call it. So for today's segment, we will be talking about, the history, the origin, and also the science. Is Om really that beneficial? Are we chanting it just because we're chanting it? And also my point of view. Now, before doing this particular episode, I have done quite a bit of research, and there's actually loads and loads of information on Om online. And the difficult part for me is to, extract what I should, record in this episode and not going too deep or too far in any one particular direction. So this is more like an overview. Of course, if you like to dig deeper into maybe the origin of Om or the science of it, you're more than welcome to, DM me, and I'll be more than happy to send you links, websites, just to give you a bit more information. Okay, so before we begin, Om is such a popular thing. We all know what Om is basically. Even for non-yoga practitioners, a lot of them know what Om is because it's so common. That would actually bring to a question is chanting Om something religious in a yoga class setting? Now, before we actually begin on the history of Om, I just want to clarify something, is that chanting Om in the beginning or at the end of a yoga class setting in the modern day yoga does not always have a religious meaning. Okay, it all depends on a few factors, like the yoga studio or that space that you're practicing in. That space itself, does it have any religious element? Or that teacher, the teacher hosting the class, do they have a religion belief? And if they do, the class that they're hosting, the intention that they're setting, does it have a religion or religious element to it? Okay, so a lot of the factors have to be thought thoroughly before you can really classify whether chanting Om in the beginning or the end of a yoga class, is it, have any relationship with religion? Okay, so that I won't answer because, again, every class is very different, every teacher is different, so you would need to find out yourself. Okay, so talking about the origin of Om, Om. Some people spell it as A-U-M. Some people spell it as O-M, but it doesn't really matter. Because again, that's just the English pronunciation of it. So it really depends on how you would, want to spell it. This particular syllable or this particular mantra does start from a very religious background. It's in Hinduism. It's in a lot of Indian religions and also Buddhism. Okay, so the start is there. Okay, Om, A-U-M, Om. So even though some people spell it as O-M, the way of pronouncing it is Om. So Om, like that. So this sound or this mantra or the meaning of these like three syllables, even though when you pronounce it quite fast, it's kind of like one, but it's actually three syllables, have a lot of different meanings. Some have more religious meanings, going really deep into Hinduism or other religious beliefs, and also deep into like classical ancient Indian texts and philosophies, which we won't really go into that depth, because again, that will be having its own episode. So these three syllables, it has a lot of different meanings, and I'm just going to name out a few. These meanings are more, I would say, more generic or maybe less religious, so it might be easier to digest if you are unfamiliar of Indian religion or Asian religions. So these three syllables, some would say that it means consciousness, different kinds of consciousness, like the waking state, the dreaming state, and the deep sleep state. Some would say that the meaning of it is about time, about past, the present, and the future. Some would say that Om is about the earth, the atmosphere, and the ether. And also, some would say that Om means thought, speech, and action. It is said that Om is the essence of the cosmic world. So it's the cosmic sound, that the sound when the universe was created, the original vibration, because Om is a sound, is a vibration. So it is actually the original sound or the original vibration when the universe was created. And Om, the syllable or the mantra, was actually first mentioned in the Upanishads. And what exactly are the Upanishads? They are the ancient literature in the history of Indian religion and culture. So it has over 200 of these Upanishads, but then some people, they would categorize 108 of them as the Upanishads, because 108 is an auspicious number, so that is why. But then again, some would consider there's way more than 108. Okay, so again, we won't go into that. So it was first mentioned in the Upanishads, and Om was the cosmic sound, was the mystical syllable, and also is the affirmation to something divine. So whichever way that you want to, come across Om, it's more of the absolute, something of higher power, something that is more holistic, unified. So it is said that when one chants Om, they are being reunited with the entire universe. They're being connected again with the entire universe. So that is one of the aspect, the historical aspect or the religious aspect of Om. So for those of us who are hugely intrigued to find out more about that aspect of Om, you can either Google it, the origin of Om, or Om in Hinduism, Om in the Upanishads, all those keywords, or maybe just DM me and I'll be more than happy to send you more information. But I won't go into details in that, because again, that is a huge area that can be, continue to discuss on and on and on and on. So now we are going to touch base on the science of it, which I think is a very, very, very interesting way. Now, not everyone is into religion. Some people are totally, against it or not into it. Some people have their own religious beliefs and don't want to interfere with other religions, that I totally respect and totally agree with, perfectly fine. But then when we talk about science, then everyone's a little bit, oh, okay, let's talk science, because it's all facts. Now, I don't know about you, but whenever I chant Om, I feel calm, a lot calmer, and I feel more relaxed, and I feel more grounded. And I often want to find out why. Now, actually, there are research done that have been proven that chanting Om is actually extremely beneficial to one's mental health. So, Om, again, is very popular, blah, 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 but then not a lot of research have been done, but then I managed to take out a few. And here it is. So, there actually have been a research done with two groups of people. So one group is yoga practitioners, or one group are not yoga practitioners. So the group that are yoga practitioners, they were given the task to chant Om for about 5 minutes, okay, and with the other group, the one that are not yoga practitioners, instead of chanting Om, they were told to say the sound S again for 5 minutes. So the Om group, they were instructed to chant it in a specific way. So the syllables O was chanted for 5 seconds and was 10 seconds. So the entire chant of Om was 15 seconds. And when they were doing this test, you could say, MRIs were being taken, and they found that the group that was chanting Om, they were actually a lot more relaxed and calm. While the other group, the S group, had no difference in terms of the brain waves or the frequencies. And the reason why is because Om, when chanted, the part is actually stimulating the ear. Because like the vibration of if you're relaxing your jaw and chanting it that way, you would actually feel your ear kind of ticklish or kind of itchy because of the vibration. And that vibration is actually stimulating the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve, let me see how I can make it a lot more simpler, is actually a very, very long nerve that starts from the back of the skull and then all the way reaches to the ear, the sides of the neck, and deep down into the lungs, the heart, and all the way down into the gut. So that is why the gut feeling is actually true. It's actually the vagus nerve taking place, happening. So anyway, so the vagus nerve is also responsible of the parasympathetic nervous system. And that is the nervous system that allows you to relax and chill. So when that nerve is actually stimulated in a positive way, you would feel calm. And by chanting Om, in particular with the part very long, it creates a vibration all the way to the ear, and that stimulates the vagus nerve, causing it to be relaxed and causing it to be so happy that the entire system is able to calm down. So that is a fact. That is not something that I created or invented or anything at all. That is actually researched and proven to be true. So that is why when some people chant Om, or when I chant Om, I feel more relaxed. And after the research, it's actually advised that chanting Om can be added to therapy for treating depression and epilepsy. And also in that research, they found out that even when the group of Om chanters, the yoga practitioners, even when their heart rate was dropping, their mental alertness was up. So that tells you something that, tells you that chanting Om is able to calm one's system down, but at the same time, able to keep the mind awake and alert. So I just gave you a quick summary of the research on Om chanting. Of course, the research paper had a lot more details. Again, if you like to find out more, you can always DM me. As for chanting Om, we've talked about the history, brief history. We've briefly talked about the science. What about the chakras? For those of us who are into chakra, how does Om can stimulate the chakras? Well, when chanting Om, you actually start from the third chakra, which is the solar plexus. And that is the chakra that is all about, self-trust, self-confidence. You start from there. And then when you continue with the chant, Aum, the second syllable, it goes into the heart chakra. It's about understanding, compassion, into the throat chakra, in the center of the throat. That's about, truthfulness, able to, really articulate your thoughts, all the way to the third chakra, which is the eyebrow center, and that is about clear thoughts. And then the last syllable, into silence, it goes all the way to the crown chakra, to the enlightenment. So if you are Om chanter, the next time when you chant, maybe you can envision, that sound starting from the third chakra all the way traveling up to the crown chakra. So chanting Om is not about the lower chakras now. It starts in the middle all the way to higher up. And what about me? Do I chant Om? And if I do, how do I chant Om? I remember I was taught how to chant Om a long time after I started my yoga practice, because when I first started my yoga practice, I was never instructed on how to chant it. I was just told to chant because everyone's chanting, so I chanted. And I remember at the time I was doing and done. But then, after a few years or a long time later, this teacher, he taught us how to chant Om. And actually, you would want to stretch the last syllable, the and the first two syllables, you want to do it slightly faster. So instead of like that, is like that. And when I started to do it that way, I immediately noticed the difference. Again, doing the research on Om, the science and all that stuff, really made everything clear now that by elongating the last syllable, the and having the jaw relax and the teeth relax, letting it vibrate into the skull, that to me is actually very magical. It calms me down, relaxes me down, and it also grounds me, which to me is extremely important because I am that kind of person who is it's quite hard to find grounding. So chanting that and chanting in a much deeper and lower voice helps me. Now, when I teach, it really depends. I mean, when I used to teach in a bigger yoga room setting, I would definitely chant Om. And the chant was not about any religious beliefs or anything about consciousness or about the time or about the cosmic world or anything at all. It was more about trying to feel everyone's energy and trying to connect with everyone's energy. I don't do it now in a smaller class setting where I know everyone, but when I used to teach at Pure, for those of us who are not familiar with what Pure Yoga is, it's actually a huge yoga studio. It ranges anywhere from, it's like dozens of people. Pre-COVID, I was teaching close to 80. Post-COVID, I quit shortly after that. So, but at least 20, 30, 40, 50 people. So in a class that big, or if I'm covering classes now at like a yoga studio that I don't regularly teach at, I would definitely start with Om, simply because I want to connect with everyone's energy and I want to see how everyone's energy is at. Chanting Om could definitely tell me how everyone is doing. And it's actually quite interesting, an observation that in the beginning of the class when chanting Om, people are all over the place. The pitch are definitely different. The volume's definitely different. But then after an hour of practice, doesn't matter if it's a vinyasa class, and hatha or yin, it doesn't matter what type or style the practice is. At the end of the class, when we chant Om again, it sounds so much different. The pitch is much more harmonious. Everyone's energy was more in sync. You could actually feel the vibe is a lot more calmer comparing to the beginning of the class. The beginning of the class, when people chant Om, you can actually feel some people's vibes is so bold and so like in your face, while other people are just not there. Yeah, it's very interesting. Even when there's dozens and dozens of people, you can actually feel the energy by that particular chant. But at the end of the class, that chant is usually a lot more well-rounded. If using a shape to describe it, in the beginning of a practice when chanting Om, it feels like the energy is kind of like a starburst, whereas at the end of the practice, the energy is more like a circle or maybe an oval, closer to a circle. So those like sharp edges, corners are all evened out and smoothed out. So that feels really, really great. And as a practitioner, when I chant Om, I like to chant it loud. I'm not that kind of person who likes to chant it really soft, because if I chant it too soft or too quiet, the vibration isn't there. And chanting loud and in a low voice is very, very powerful. Of course, if the class is huge, if there are a lot of people, and if everyone is, the pitch is in sync, it's such a magical and powerful sensation. And also the end, the silence after the chant is very, very special as well. Usually the power comes after the chant, after when everything is done and the silence enters. If you have that luxury to experience that silence, do it, indulge in it, because that is invaluable. And so that is my sharing for today. I could go on and on, but I think it's best to stop at about 22 minutes. So thanks for joining me. And actually, I would like to end the today's episode with 3 chants of the mantra Om. So if you like, you can join me. If you like, you can just listen. Or if it doesn't really resonate with you, you can end the episode now. So if you are still with me, let's take a nice and comfortable seated position. And then just take a few breaths. Om.